My guest today, the wonderful, the amazing Robin Shelby.
Very good, Ruben. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I am a big Ghostbusters fan, so I'll just start off by saying that two things: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters, which they all pretty much came out like in around the same time. So those are like my jams right there. But before we dive into all of that, some of my earliest memories of watching
Yeah,
movies was a movie called Willow, and you happen to be in Willow. So let's kind of like let's kind of go into
sure.
uh, how you got into acting and how that led to Willow before everything else would come afterwards.
I started when I was about 11. I did my first musical theater show with the Children's Theater Company in Northern California. That got me into acting, caught the bug like right away. And then in Northern California, there's Industrial Light and Magic. And I ended up getting an agent through my teen years, and they said, there's an audition, and it was for Willow, which I didn't know at the time, but I went there. And I got the job, and I worked a couple days on Willow as a troll that is on the bridge that gets eaten by a two-headed monster, a Hydra monster.
Yeah.
And that's how I was introduced to ILM and how they had asked me to audition for Slimer in Ghostbusters 2. So I'm very grateful for Willow because it was my first big gig and it was a blast, but it also opened the door for Ghostbusters as well.
First off, Willow's a great movie. And secondly, that scene where you come out like as the troll, it's like the scene that I remember the most in the movie, and like I did not know that that was you before, right? Obviously, like growing up. So then later on, I was like, when you did Slimer and you're the troll. I was like, that is so cool. Like I've actually seen you on screen long without even knowing longer than I had, you know. And that scene is so memorable to me because that Hydra, the dragon, is so. As a kid, seeing that, like it looks so insane. I was like, whoa, you know, like because I was one of like the first like live action movies I ever saw in my life, so it made a big impact on me. And seeing that thing and the way it
Oh,
moved, because back then it was like I haven't done like research on what it was, but not like claymation, but there's a different process to how they made that creature, which makes it look so much more real, right? And that was so cool to learn that you were involved with that film.
I love the movie Willow. It's like even up take not even being a part of it, the story is so sweet and it's so feel good and I it's like the most understated, underrated movie in my opinion. I think it's amazing. So I will catch it if it's a film or a series. I'm definitely gonna try and catch it for sure.
How did you
Yes,
go from Willow to Ghostbusters? What was that transition like?
it was about a year later. I worked on Willow and had a great time. Loved ILM. It's like a kid in a candy store. And about a year later, I got a phone call from my agent saying the people at ILM, they want you to go up there and they have an audition for you. Again, didn't know what it was. They wouldn't tell me. It was like pretty much top secret. It was like come audition. You'll find out details basically if you get the job. And I found out basically the next day that I had gotten cast as Slimer in Ghostbusters, and I was excited and mortified all at the same time because I'm like, this is such a beloved character. Oh my gosh, I better do this right. So basically, what I was saying is, like, a year later, they called. Agent said, "Come on down." So I did and auditioned, and a day later, I found out what it was. I found out that it was for Ghostbusters and that it was for Slimer, and it was just I was really worried. I wanted to do the character justice. I wanted to make sure that it was good and it was a fan favorite. That everybody loved Slimer, so I knew I had to just step up and go and have fun and do a good job.
An amazing role to fill. I mean, growing up, I only had two Ghostbuster toys growing up, and it was a Peter Venkman and it was a Slimer. So I've been a Slimer fan for
I
quite
love it.
some time. Yeah. So on that movie, I mean, first off, the director Ivan Reitman, he's a legend, you know, and the cast that you got to work with, you know, in 1989 there, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Ernie Hudson, Harold Ramis when he was alive. You got to work with Harold as well. How was that? How was that being on getting to meet some of those people? I know when you shot some of your scenes, they weren't necessarily there, but you were still amongst them at different gatherings and stuff and other pieces of the production. That must have been really cool. You know, that's such a historic cast and crew to be a part of.
While we were shooting at ILM, I was with the crew in front of a blue screen. So none of the cast, they had already shot all their stuff in New York, or principal photography was pretty much wrapped at that point. It was done. So technically, I didn't have to meet any of them while I was shooting. It was all just kind of put in with what they'd already done. Bill Murray did show up on a day of shooting. He was doing some looping at Skywalker Ranch, and he decided to hang out. Ivan was there for the day, so I met Ivan while we were shooting, because Ivan showed up before we got into the thick of it and went scene by scene.
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is what I need from this. This is what I want from this." And then he left it up to the special effects manager or director to give him what he needed. But I did meet after the fact. So I met Bill and Ivan during the shooting. I've met and become really good friends with Ernie, who I absolutely adore. He's one of the nicest people on the face of the planet. I love him to death. I never got to meet Harold Ramis, however.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
I'm so bummed about that, because there's so much that I needed to thank him for letting me be a part of this amazing franchise that he started. He was one of the people that began it, and I never got to thank him. And I remember the day that the news came that he was no longer with us, I was crushed. Never met the man, but I was crushed. You know, I was just really affected by it. But like I said, I owe him so much, and I never got to tell him that. But
yeah, a lot of people don't realize how much Harold was involved with the movie. You know, like regular viewers don't realize that, but the ghost heads like really know how important he was. That's why I think his appearance in like the newer Ghostbusters movie is such like a tearful thing, you know, because he really is a heart of the whole Ghostbusters franchise and process. Yeah, so yeah, Harold Ramis, that's you know, the Egon. That's
absolutely
an awesome character in the movie. One person that you did work with though. And I've seen video of this, and I was so bummed when I saw that it was cut out. But you had these awesome, never before seen scenes with Rick Moranis, right? Where Slimer licks him, like the whole thing where he gets on the bus and off the bus. I always wanted to see that complete. I'm like, if there's like a petition, tell me where to sign. You know what I mean? I'll spread the word, because like, my goodness, I want to see that scene.
Me too.
Can you break that down?
Yeah, that was one of the most fun scenes ever that we shot, and never got to meet Rick. I still have that's another part. I've yet to meet Rick Moranis, although most of the stuff I've done in Ghostbusters is with Rick. I took the videotape to my hotel room when I was shooting of that scene getting off the bus, and also when he approaches the bus and didn't know he had your license. I listened to that over and over ad nauseum, because I had to know the timing perfectly when I was on the set with the crew. But that scene was so much fun. Getting off the bus, licking him, flying off because he wanted to go with Rick. He wanted to go with Lewis and help him, and Lewis basically declines and says no. You know, let's go bowling sometime. It's just perfect, you know. And Rick Moranis is one of my absolute favorite actors ever. I just adore him. So talented. But yeah, that scene turned out great, and that was one moment of the film that got cut. And I think myself, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm pretty sure there were other people in the crew that shot that was also disappointed that it wasn't in the film, because I think it would have been really cute. It would have been great. I still, like you, I'd love to see it. I would love them to just put it together and show it in a DVD special, because it'd be great. I'd love to see it.
That moment, the way that scene plays out, it reminds me of like the real Ghostbusters cartoon that I used to watch. It's like Slimer being Slimer, like the one that like we watch. It's like, you know, he actually becomes like that kind of buddy character where like There's, you know what I mean? That's so cool. Like that would have been so awesome to see. Like I think everybody would have appreciated it.
It was great writing. Rick did a great job acting it. The crew, after we shot that particular scene, it was kind of it was a long day. But when we were done, like the whole crew just applauded each other. Like they were just like, "Wow, look what look what just happened." We were all really happy with it. So that's why I think we were so bummed, disappointed that it didn't get in. But one day we will see it.
Yes.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
So our viewers, if they're familiar with Slimer, can you explain the process of the costume itself and what it took? You know, like it's because I don't know how to explain it. Like the arms were separate pieces and they were like skin tight, right, on you. But like the whole top piece, they had to like do a cast of you, and then how heavy was the suit? Can you break that down? Let's break down Slimer.
Yeah. It took about, in the beginning, it took about 35, 40 minutes to get in. But as we shot throughout the weeks we were working, it got faster. We all became a little bit more used to what was going on, and just it was a quicker process. But you're right, the arms were like latex, skin tight latex, and the body was a latex like a latex outer part, and then like a pillowy cushion on the inside to make Slimer have the rolls that he had to have. The head was the heavy part. It had all the servos and like the motors and wires, and it was extremely, it was hot, but more so heavy, because it just had a lot to it. It just had a lot to it, and you know, I'm 4'11", and when we shot that, I couldn't have been 90 pounds, 85 pounds, and it probably was, you know, 35 pounds on my shoulders,
Yeah.
which is a lot when you're that little. But the crew was amazing. They were constantly watching out for me. They were always checking on me, like every take. They'd be just making sure that I was okay. Funny part was in breaks, unless it was lunch, I pretty much stayed in the body part. They would take the head off, so I could get, you know, some air, and I could drink water. I was not allowed to eat in the costume because the process of getting that off, if I had choked or anything were to happen, they wouldn't be able to get it off in time. So they were just like, "We want you to sip on water. That's basically what we want you to have." Yeah, water. I think protein drinks. I had some protein drinks, but as far as food goes, so it's kind of funny. Slimer could not eat in the costume, which I think it's kind of a funny thing. But yeah, but they were fantastic. Like they're the best of the best at ILM.
Yeah, that's so funny. The one thing that Slimer is known for, he couldn't do.
No, at least the actress in the costume couldn't do it. But I would do it all over again. It was like the best. It was the hardest work I've ever done, but like the most amazing, satisfying work I've ever done. It was just so much fun. It was great.
How long were the days with the shooting and the filming in the Slimer costume?
Long. At one point, I was living in Sunnyvale, and ILM is past San Francisco, so I had about an hour and a half commute there and an hour and a half back, and we were doing like 12 to 15-hour days.
Wow.
So at one point, I was heading home, kind of the middle of our shooting, and I fell asleep at the wheel driving home, and I kind of went off. Thank God I didn't hurt anyone else. I went off the shoulder of the road, and it startled me, and I got home safely, thank goodness. And I got back the next day, and I told them what had happened. They're like, "Go back home, grab some clothes. There's a hotel 5 minutes away." We had no idea that you were doing this kind of a commute with these hours. So, and they put me up in a hotel after that. So I was able to just 5 minutes later be in bed and crash and rest. It was great.
That is dedication. But I mean, it shows through in the work, Robin, because I mean, Slimer is like one of my absolute favorite things about the Ghostbuster franchise. And like without Slimer, it wouldn't be Ghostbusters, you know? I put you up there with the Bill Murrays and the, you know, Ernie Hudson and Aykroyd. It's like you're one of the
You are too kind. You are too kind.
For reals, I'm being serious, you know. I was actually really excited years ago when I met you. This goes kind of a ways back. I'm not sure if that was the first convention that you started in actually, but this was years ago at a San Diego Comic-Con. I was doing a signing because of some stunt work that I had done in a film, and I was in the sales pavilion, and that's where I had first met you. So I left my booth, and I remember the person who was helping me at my booth was like, "Where are you going?" Like, I was like, "Well, Robin Shelby from Ghostbusters is on the," and I was like, "I'll be right back." And then that's how I introduced myself to you many years ago. And yeah, that's I left my booth to go say hi, and that was the first time I introduced myself to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and but you know, I had never seen you at a show before though. That's why I was like so excited. I was like, "Oh, this is so cool." And like later on, I had watched some video on some other interviews that you had done, and you had mentioned that I think it was around that time that you had just started doing conventions, and so I'm not sure if that's the first one you did or one of the first, but prior to that, I hadn't seen you like at other shows, so I was like really excited to meet you that day.
My first convention was Horror Hound
Oh yeah,
in Cincinnati. Yeah. And I want to say it was 2011. I want to say it was 2011 was my very first con, and I was scared to
yeah.
death because never done a convention before as a guest ever, and I didn't know what to expect. But the fans were and remain amazing. Like they're the best. They're incredible. They're so giving of their time when they show up, and they're just so complimentary, and they're so appreciative, and I appreciate them in return. They're wonderful.
You're so right. Like the fan base for Ghostbusters is so strong, and everything from to a point where it's like no joke. Hasbro did this like Ghostbusters Proton Pack. It was like this HasLab, which is like their version of a Kickstarter kind of thing, and I pledged to that so I can get a Proton Pack. I'm gonna eventually get like one of those suits, and next thing you know, I might be joining like Southern California Ghostbusters, and I might be walking around in my getup, you know, because I'm that much of a Ghostbuster fan. So, but yeah, the Ghostbuster fans are so passionate, and that's
Do
why
it, do it,
I
do it.
will. I'm gonna get my own little name patch and the whole nine, you know. So, yeah, I'm definitely on board for that.
I love it.
Do you have your own like Slimer collection, or do you have a personal favorite
In,
things that have come out?
in my apartment, it kind of I've been given and purchased a lot of Slimer uh, T-shirts and you name it, like all the memorabilia and models, and it looks like Slimer threw up in my apartment sometimes. It's all over the place, which is great. And I've been given some. What's really cool, there are some very talented fans out there that are artists, and they've drawn some amazing artwork that's like one of a kind that I have. And when I have more space, like when we like end up going to another place, a room that I would have put them all on the walls. Like there's so much artwork, it would be an incredible place to display it in a room. So yeah, I have so many Ghostbusters and Slimer um, items. It's great though. I love it. Some of it's in a box for safekeeping. Some of it is, definitely, hard to find. Some things are hard to find, so I want to take care of it.
I'd love to know what are some of those like key Slimer pieces that like are rare, you know?
There is like a slime. I don't know if there's like a ring
Uh-huh.
that I forgot the maker of it. It's like a metal ring in a box that was given to me, and I should pull it out to get the details, but it's super cool. So I put it away to make sure that I didn't lose it. Um, like I said, I think to me, honestly, the most special rare things are the items that have been made or
Yeah.
drawn
One
or
of one's
you know
drawings,
put,
you know.
you can't replace that.
Yeah.
And I've got like a dancing Slimer. You play music and it dances to it. It's got
Uh-huh.
like I think a radio inside. And this is so a fan gave me that. And it's
Wow.
years old. Like I want to say like when Ghostbusters came out, that I think is hard to find. I don't think many people have that.
Never even heard of
And
it. Yeah.
I'm really I love it, and that's put away as well
Yeah.
for safekeeping. But Yeah, what I should do, I think I'm gonna do like a live video and show some of the take some of the stuff out and
You
just kind of show
should.
the fans what I've got.
Yes.
I think that that could be a fun thing to do. I think the fans might like it too. So
Yes. Yes, that would be awesome. When the movie wrapped for Ghostbusters 2, did you get to keep any sort of prop or any souvenirs from the film?
they let me have Slimer's got a tongue. It was a motor but covered with it's latex, a latex tongue.
Yeah.
They gave me
Yeah.
a tongue, which I still
Wow.
have. Um,
Wow.
they gave me a maquette. It's about yay big.
Yes.
And what they did is they made maquettes to test the color of Slimer, and they painted them, and Ivan would look at them and make choices as far as they gave me. There's like 14 of them. I have one of them. Um, and Michael Gross, the producer, signed the butt of Slimer, um, which is pretty cool. And one of the puppeteers, Mark Siegel, who is incredibly talented and even as nice as he is talented, he signed it too. I intend to take it with me to more conventions to have like other Ghostbusters people sign it too. That's probably my most prized possession is the maquette. To be honest, I love it.
That is that is awesome. Yes. Those some of those maquettes are wonderful. They're just pieces of
They
history,
are.
you know.
And what I have is pretty close color wise to what we actually ended up using. So yeah, I love it. If you on my Facebook page, I think I've got a video showing it, and some pictures too. But yeah, I love that, and not too many people have them, so that's pretty special.
From Ghostbusters 2, you would end up playing Lady Slimer in Ghostbusters 3. How did that come about? How did you go from 2 to 3? Because that's very cool. I'm so happy when they do that with films, when like they respect and they bring the talent and they carry them over, because it's like you're the ones, you know, like it's I always get so like bummed out when they replace people that don't need to be replaced. And so I was so happy. I mean, that movie, you know, compared to the other Ghostbusters, obviously I like the other Ghostbusters movies more, but that's like one of my favorite things about that movie is the fact that they carried you over to that one. I really respect that and I like that. And that made me really excited. And I thought that was so cool, you know, especially as like a Slimer, you know, a Ghostbusters fan.
I was honored. I found out it was a Christmas, almost 2016 before it was released, and I get a message from Paul Feig, who I had never met, by the way. I had never met in person. And he's like, hey, I might have something you're interested in. It might be like a small little something I could have you do in the film. Are you interested? And I like screamed. I was like, oh my God. My husband was like, what's wrong? What happened? And I showed it to him. He goes, well, stop talking to me. Tell Paul yes. Tell him you'll do it. And I wrote him, and Paul's like, okay, now keep this under your hat. This is what I'm asking you to do. And then yeah, I spent a day recording for Lady Slimer. I was so surprised and very honored that he even thought of me. Not even meeting me, he reached out, which I thought was pretty cool.
You've played both the regular Slimer and the Lady Slimer, so you've done like both. Like, how many people get to say they've done the two of those? Like, I mean, I can't think of anybody else. You might be the only person, you know, that's done something like that in film.
I joke around and I say, I played my own love interest, and I need a therapist because that's pretty confusing. I'm joking. No, yeah, it is kind of fun that I played both the female incarnation and the male incarnation of Slimer. It's pretty cool. It's fun. I'm just lucky. I'm just a lucky actress, to be honest.
Honestly, I don't think it's luck because you worked so hard. I mean, doing everything that you did, you know, even like the drives and stuff. I know how that is because when I would do, like, let's say like the stunt work that I did, like in films or music videos or in my, you know, skateboarding career and anything, when I did competitions, I too would do 2 hour drives to and from. And like, when I'd get there, I'd be the only one that traveled such a distance to try such a thing. And it's because I was passionate about it, and I worked for it, you know? I don't believe it's luck.
There you go.
It's all work ethic and ambition, you know? The time you spent there, those 15-hour long days where you'd be in the suit like that's you and your dedication and going through it, you know, even like the head casts and stuff. Like I'm claustrophobic, like in that sense, like just dealing with that thing in itself is a mission. So like everything you've done, Robin, it's been a lot of hard work and effort, and like not many people could pull it off. And you know, you really did it, and you brought the character to life. I mean, it wouldn't be Slimer without you, you know. So you know, if anything, I'm saying we need more Slimer. We need a Slimer movie. You know, let's get a solo film or something. I'm not sure why that hasn't been done yet. I mean, it's like with other companies, they capitalize like on the, you know, Groot and like all these other, like, you know, like the characters that, you know, that they have, the mascot characters. Like Ghostbusters has such a cool one with Slimer. Like there should be a Slimer animated show, or you know what I mean, its own something. I mean, there's something there. I feel like it's a lost opportunity if they don't do something, because it's such a great character.
I agree. I agree that what they created in that character and in the franchise, like just between Ivan and everybody who had a say in the original Ghostbusters and the idea of the original Slimer, um, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, like those people, it wasn't by chance. It was their talent. It was their sense of comedy. It was what they brought to it that made the original Ghostbusters what it was.
Yeah.
Which allowed a Ghostbuster 2 to happen. So I'm very grateful to the people who started all this, to be honest. Amazingly talented, and it's kind of lightning in a bottle, but it took that special creative something for that lightning to happen in the bottle. So
Last ghost related question. Do you believe in ghosts? Have you ever had any like spooky experiences?
I do believe in spirits. I have two quick stories I could tell you.
Yeah.
One
Let's hear it.
is actually from my mom. I grew up in Illinois, and there was a house where um, my mom had. I was like I was 9 months, a year old, and my mom looked in the mirror and she saw a woman's face looking at her in the mirror.
Wow. Uh-huh.
And she wasn't afraid. She told me she didn't get a sense that it was there to do any harm. It was just this happy female face that didn't really frighten her. She found out that a woman had taken her life years before in the attic of that house.
Yeah.
And she went up to the attic, and I'm not kidding. She said she tried to light a match in the middle of the room, and it would blow out. It wouldn't stay lit.
Wow.
So I kind of believe that there was a presence from that person from years ago who had died suddenly in the house. I also had an eye surgery like 12 years ago,
Yeah.
where I was just kind of under light anesthesia, and my brother had passed away years ago in a motorcycle accident. And while I was under anesthesia, I saw my brother in the corner of the room smiling.
Wow.
Now, was it me under anesthesia just dreaming this up, or was he actually there? I'll never really know. I'd like to think it really was him just letting me
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
everything's going to be fine, which it was, thank God. Um, so yeah, so I mean, I do believe that spirits can remain. They can be here. Absolutely, I'm a total believer in ghosts. Yes.
I think when people think ghosts, they think like bad, or you know, just like bad, like ghosts are, you know, ghosts. Oh no, ghosts. But like the truth is, like, I mean, who says ghosts had to be bad? It could just be good spirits that are just kind of trapped in this world, in this dimension still. You know what I mean? So I believe that yeah, that's a possibility like that. You know, why
Exactly.
not? You know, why not? I mean, why are they all like, you know, it's energy, right? So if it's energy, it could be good or bad. Something else that we have in common. This is like off topic, but we both actually worked at theme parks. I remember seeing something where like you were in a Rocky and Bullwinkle show, right? And like Universal, right? Something like that. Because I used to work at a Six Flags
Hmm.
Magic Mountain before, when I was like an amateur skateboarder before I turned professional back then many years ago. They would pay me to do skateboard demos and like this extreme sports show at Six Flags. And so
Wow.
around every, man, it's been so long I forget what my schedule was, but every day we would have like 2 or 3 shows that we would just do tricks, you know, skateboarding alongside with the guys on the bikes. And so I worked at a theme park like that, just doing shows. And you did shows as well in the Rocky Bullwinkle thing. So we kind of have that in common. We worked at a theme park for a while. It was like a gig of ours.
My first theme park gig was in Northern California, in Santa Clara, Great America.
Nice.
I was in a show called Scooby School Days. I was a singer in that show, singing with Captain Caveman and Scooby and George Jetson, which was so much fun. It was fun. And actually, that's when it was around that time, just before I started working at Great America, that I got the job of Slimer. So I kind of went straight from shooting on Slimer to going to Great America. So it was kind of cool. And yes, I did the Rocky and Bullwinkle show at Universal. 6 shows a day. I was Rocky, Rocket J Squirrel.
Yeah.
It was dancing in a Rocky costume in the summer in like 102-degree heat. But you know what? It was so much fun. The people that I worked with were great, and I got paid to be Rocky, Rocket J Squirrel. So how can that be bad, right?
When it was cut time, well, this is what I did at least. When I would be off on break, I would actually just go on the rides because they didn't care. They're like, well, you're not working anymore, so you're going to do whatever. You don't have to leave the theme park. So needless to say, I've been on every ride at Six Flags numerous times at the time. But I would imagine when you would split from your work too, you either wanted to go, you had a chance to do whatever you wanted to, huh? With your IMDb profile, you have a lot of different credits listed. Is there one that you're really, really proud of that like doesn't usually get talked about a lot, but you had a great experience with?
That is a really good question. I would say the one I'm most proud of. We started a web series called Far From the Tree.
Nice.
And there's like, I think 15, 16 episodes. They're short. They're like, really easy to watch. Like between like a minute and a half and 6 minutes, I think is the longest one. But I created the idea, and my husband, who's a phenomenal writer, he's very good with comedy, amazing with comedy writing. And he took my idea and kind of fleshed it out into different episodes that we could shoot. And I think I'm most proud of that because it's something that from the ground up, we built it. We decided to shoot it and make sure the scripts were funny. We cast it. I'd have to say I'm probably the most proud of that if I were to look at the resume and IMDb of all my projects. Yeah.
Love it. I love it because you did your thing, like that's a big thing on this show about Passions Personified is about people making their dreams happen and things that they want to do and making them happen. So I love your answer because that's the epitome of what we talk about. It's like you did the thing, you made it, how cool is that? Ordinary questions with extraordinary individuals. And I just asked like a rapid fire 7 questions, and they're really simple ones, and you just give me your answers. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is purple.
What is your favorite artist or band of all time, like music?
Billy Joel.
What is your favorite movie of all time?
Back to the Future. To me, it's a flawless movie that I could watch over and over and over and over again. I love it.
What is your favorite snack or dessert of all time?
Ooh. My favorite snack. Cold pizza. Pizza.
Nice.
I'm taking pizza from the fridge from like a day before and then snacking on that is probably my favorite snack. My favorite dessert is hot chocolate lava cake.
What is one place that you have not traveled to yet that you still want to visit?
I would have to say Germany.
Okay.
I have a lot of relatives that I've never met, I guess. I'm German and Polish. And I guess I've got a lot of relatives from Germany. It'd be fun to just kind of do an ancestry kind of thing and go back and maybe locate some relatives there.
What is your favorite franchise or nostalgic property of all time?
I have to. My favorite franchise? Come on, who are you talking to? Ghostbusters.
I know.
Ghostbusters. Seriously?
Yeah.
Honestly, without fail, I have to say that. And I mean that though. I mean, honestly, that it's true.
You're
and I'm thinking maybe you too.
Yes. So here's the thing. you're a unique guest because, you know, usually my guests come from, you know, they're like musicians or they're, you know, a producer, composer, professional athlete. Like, so this is a question where they're like, oh yeah, what is my favorite? But like, you're literally in the property. So like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you're like in a franchise yourself. So, and final question from the 7 here. If you could offer one last bit of advice to anyone out there trying to pursue their passions, what would it be?
I am so glad you asked that. There are a lot of young actors out there. I would tell them, if I had listened to anyone who has said no to me throughout my life that I couldn't do it, I never would have been where I am today and worked as an actor. If you believe in it and you want it, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Just put your blinders on and do everything that you can to succeed because you can make it. If you believe it and you work hard at it, it'll happen.
What an amazing answer. Thank you so much, Robin. Is there anything that you want to plug? Do you want to direct anyone to a site, or do you have a merch that you're selling or anything coming up? Like, is there anything you want to plug?
Well, there's a web series that we've worked on that we're going to be shooting a few new episodes. It's called Two Cops in a Car.
Nice.
I think you can find it on Facebook or YouTube, but it's like another series where it's very short segments that you can watch. It's really easy and very funny. It's about two inept cops that just can't do anything right, and the writing is, again, my husband wrote that. That was more his idea. It's so funny, and we're about to shoot in the next week or two another 2 episodes. So keep your eyes open for that.
Awesome. I'm going to check that out. That sounds super cool. I'm definitely going to check that out. Robin, what an absolute honor.
Awesome.
I really mean it. I am a big Ghostbusters fan. Slimer is one of my favorite characters. And I was so happy to connect with you years ago. And I feel like this interview has been like a decade coming. You know what I mean? Like,
we did it.
Yeah, we did it. So here we are. And
finally.
So much.
And who knows, maybe we'll get to do a convention together in the future yet again.
Yes. I think that is in the stars. That will happen. It's just a matter of time for sure. Yeah.
And you've been a delight. Thank you for asking me to come on and talk with you. You've been great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Robin. All right, so everyone tuning in, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the episode. And the great and wonderful Robin Shelby.